So success changes throughout our lifetime. So right now, success for me and my meaning of success is that I raised 3 healthy, happy adult children.
Mm.
Yeah. And to me, that's worth all its weight in gold.
All right. Hey, everybody. My name is Tom LaFaso. This is Follow the Winners. I'm here today with Bob Deacon. We're going to be talking about Follow the Winners, obviously, everything in between. We're super excited to have him here. Bob, I met through a few different networking groups. He has a super exciting background, very interesting man. So I have Bob with me today. Bob, please introduce yourself. How are you?
Very good. Thanks very much for having me over tonight, Tom. Robert Deacon, owner of VanGo Cleaning, Maintenance, Restoration.
Nice. Let me just have you just talk a little bit closer to the microphone,
Sure.
or I can move it towards you.
Self-adjusted. How's that?
Yeah. For some reason, Nicole, is he coming up on there? Okay. I'm having a hard time hearing him. That's okay, though. Let's keep on rolling through. So I'm doing great. I'm really excited, like I said, to have you here. This is a cool opportunity, Follow the Winners, to kind of jump into things. I don't know if I've actually explained to you. I know you watch some of the other podcasts that I have, but Follow the Winners, where it came from. My grandmother growing up, she was huge in AA. My whole life, she was involved in Alcoholics Anonymous. I didn't really know too much about it other than the fact that she would take me to the meetings and things like that because she, kind of raised me per se. But she always told me, follow the winners, follow the winners. I never really understood what that meant. Even my mom growing up would always tell me that too. And then as I got older, I kind of started picking some people out. I remember my first winner in my life was this guy I worked with at an auto repair shop. His name was Tom Fuchs. He owned the repair shop. He was just a genuinely nice guy. A lot of people liked him. So for me, that was the follow the winner. That was my first. But then I met someone recently and they kind of brought it to light that this phrase per se is a legacy that my grandmother left behind for me to really go out there and find people that are winning and do things, find things that they're doing and take it and use it for yourself. So just to give you that, because I feel like I haven't had the chance to explain it. But for the viewers and everybody else, explain who you are, what you do, just, as much as you can, please.
Yeah, without a doubt. So who am I, right? I'm Robert Deacon. I'm a father of 3, grandfather of 3, business owner since 1987. Love the entrepreneurial way of life. And I've been doing it, I think, successfully since then. And I look forward to each and every day.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's awesome. And how long have you been doing this?
Well, as my own business since 1987.
Wow.
Yeah. I've been in the industry since 82.
Okay. And when you say industry, you had a job in the industry? How'd you get?
Yeah, so it's cleaning, maintenance, restoration, right? So back in 1982, I wound up getting a job cleaning carpet. And I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it so much. I've worked on Wall Street. I've worked for WPIX TV. I've worked for Demco Alarms. I've worked for the telephone company. I've done quite a few different jobs thinking that was the direction that I wanted to go in. But for some reason, cleaning carpets just gave me this instant gratification and satisfying way of making a living. Yeah.
That's interesting.
And it's just grown since then, so it's become more than just a carpet cleaning company. It became a cleaning, maintenance, and full-time restoration service.
Mm-hmm. Have you found more passion and then obviously just cleaning the carpets and helping people and what else comes involved in it?
Yeah, so for me, it's called services on the home front. So when I get to go into somebody's home, I get to, it's very intimate. I get to see really what's going on inside that house, right? Mm-hmm. So when I worked for the phone company or on Wall Street, you didn't get that intimacy whatsoever. And you also didn't get a real sense of, for at least me, a sense of gratification. I never knew if I was doing a good job or not. And I remember saying that to my dad. I said, I don't know if they kind of like my work or not. He says, look, if they don't have to talk to you, chances are you're doing a really good job. And to me, I kind of I soured on that. I didn't like that. I want to know that someone's doing a good job, and if they're doing a good job, let's let them know that they're doing a good job.
Yeah.
So cleaning for me was like, oh my God, look at the before and after difference. It's night and day. So it was, I didn't need somebody to tell me. Now I can see it.
Mm-hmm.
So that was nice, and it was gratifying.
Yeah, that is interesting. I was just thinking about that this morning because one of my clients that I've been doing some marketing work for, I haven't heard from in a few weeks. I've reached out to them and like texted them and just like got like simple responses back or anything. But I'm like, I guess that means I'm doing a good job, because if there is any issues, they're always right there. The clients are like, hey, this is a problem.
Yeah, right.
But I see what you're saying. I mean, there's definitely always that before and after. I mean, especially with cleaning. I've watched tons of those videos. I think I told you this prior, is on like social media of just like the cleaning videos. They're super satisfying to watch. The wet vacuum where it's just like slurping up all the dirt and you're like, oh my God, it's disgusting. I would be surprised, like any carpet in my house kind of thing, just like using that. You're like, oh God, what does it look like after the fact,
Yeah. It's, I think it's called AMSR, right? It's a very satisfying video technique where people can just zone out and watch this take place in front of them.
Yeah, people like the ASMR videos. I don't really, I don't know where they came from. It's super weird, I'm not gonna lie, but they are satisfying, I watched somebody recently make, I think it was actually one of the people I was working with. She had some videos ASMR on her page, or someone she told me to watch. I don't know. It's interesting. If you're a pretty woman and you can like touch things, but they tend to do very well. I don't know why. It's a little bit weird, We could do some right now.
we had we don't have a real big YouTube presence, but we've done quite a few videos.
Yeah.
And they've been posted, but out of nowhere somebody has chimed in, and more so saying, hey man, don't do the short videos, do your long videos, because we really like listening to the sound. It was more about the sound as it was the visual aspect of it. They said we go to sleep listening to the swishing of the machines and the water. And I was like, wow, that's just incredible.
Yeah. Do you, I now that you said that, I remember you mentioning something like that. I mean, it's not outlandish because every so often, like if I have a hard time sleeping, I'll go on YouTube and I'll just type in like sleep noises, whatever. You find like a rain thunderstorm video, or it's great. I mean, you'll be knocked out in seconds. It's no issues. But like in that case, yeah, you totally, do you have anything that's like 8 hours long or anything like that? Or
I'd say a couple of hours.
Really?
So we have some videos that, the camera just kept rolling and just showing the exact way that we perform the cleaning of, say, an Oriental rug, from start to finish. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, it totally makes sense. It totally does. You can make like, there are, I know for a fact there's a lot of other pages that do similar stuff like that, especially the 24-hour like videos. I don't know if you've ever seen things like that are just live 24 hours a day. And it's just like sleep noises.
Sure.
During Christmas, actually, we set up, it was Christmas lo-fi. I don't know if you're familiar with lo-fi music. It's like hip hop and jazz, I want to say, kind of comes together. It's probably the best way to explain it. Okay. Very, very mellow, like nothing like upbeat, no fast pace, nothing. Everything's just like super slow pace.
Background?
Yeah, basically like working background music's like the best way to put it. Yeah, we made a 24-hour radio and put that up on YouTube during the holiday season. It was cool. I just tested it out, but it's stuff like that. It works really well, especially on YouTube.
Yeah, that's quite interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so just to jump right into things, first, you already explained who you are, kind of. We'll get a little bit more into some more questions. But to break the ice, what does success mean to you?
So success changes throughout our lifetime. So right now, success for me and my meaning of success is that I raised 3 healthy, happy adult children. Yeah. And to me, that's worth all its weight in gold right there. Just to know that my children are happy and secure and productive, but more so because they're happy.
Had you found a point in your life where you kind of made that your goal? Like, was it as soon as you had your first kid kind of thing? I'm not a parent. I don't have any kids. I'd like to have kids in the future. That's kind of why I asked that.
Yeah. So I don't know if it was something like I had a mindset that this is what I want to accomplish. It was just, I think I'm just successful because I did accomplish it. And I didn't accomplish it alone. Obviously, my wife and I, put a lot of hard work and effort into it. But at the end of the day, if I quantify my success, it's that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, family is super, super important. Generational wealth, I think, is a topic that needs to be spoken about way more in society. And it's also a topic that I think pisses a lot of people off because they're just like, well, I don't understand. Why does that family have so much money? It's like, well, you don't understand that their great-great-grandfather kicked ass, started a business, and then passed it down to now their great-great-grandchild, or something along those lines. That to me is amazing. I'm super jealous of families like that because I don't have that in my own family. I wish I did. I'm envious of it basically, but at the end of the day, I think it is something that everybody has to be very conscious of and talk about a lot more, because if you're going to have kids, or you don't even have to have kids, but if you're going to be a part of your family per se, and you're going to try and get to some kind of level of success, it's like the best people to share it with, or the people that you grew up with, or that you raised, or, whatever that is.
My thoughts on that are a little different. I'm in the creative mindset, not the competitive mindset. And that's something that I've learned. And to me, I can create my reality by putting my mind to it and not worrying about what others have, because what I want for myself, I do want for others. So it makes that journey in life that much easier for me. Also, if you're broke, chances are your children will be broke. And there's a reason why you might be broke, and that's because of a lack of an education or a lack of self-discipline. So if you learn that from your grandparents to your parents to your siblings to yourself, then pretty much that's your generational wealth, you see. So if you look at people that are to be looked up to, I guess, in the sense that their family goes way back, being rich in the sense of a monetary aspect of it, they have been cultivated and developed to have that mindset moving forward. So using a town, for example, like say Dix Hills, which is known for, affluence. Most people that grew up in Dix Hills are going to kind of live in Dix Hills. How does that work? Why is it that, they didn't move very far away from that? Or if somebody from, say, a lesser affluent neighborhood, chances are that's where they're going to be. So you need to be able to step out of that box and make your own way in life and get around the winners and seek out winners and emulate them. And that's how you're really going to master that.
No, I definitely agree with you. One of my favorite people, I probably talk about him almost on like every episode at this point, is Ed Milet. I don't know if you're ever...
Sure.
So I love hearing about him and everything that he does. He does like podcasts weekly. Now he's doing twice a week videos, which is even better. But he always does talk about how, well, I have his book too. I don't know if you're familiar with his book, The Power of One More. That's what it's called. It's a really, really great book. Anybody who hasn't read it, totally recommend it. But he talks about being the one in your family, and everybody has that one person, and that one person changes it for generations past. You basically said it, and I do this a lot where I talk from like what sounds like a financial standpoint, but everything I'm talking about is all the mindset behind things. Like, yeah, money comes with the mindset, you don't have to have money to be successful and to find happiness. And I know all that. Some people want that. I per se am somebody who wants to try and amass tons of money to find a greater level of life that I've never even been able to experience before. That's kind of part of my goal. But at the end of the day, creating that mindset, creating that lifestyle, it makes everybody else in your life now start to think differently. because they start looking at you differently. And then what you spoke about, like growing up in an affluent neighborhood somewhere that makes a lot of money and being that person the rest of your life, that all came from one person at one point in time getting to that level, and then it kind of just like bled across all the generations, basically. That's kind of how I look at it. And I think it's super, super powerful to be able to push that across your family and your generation. It doesn't have to be money. A lot of times it usually is, because once you find a level of success in anything, it usually comes with financial success in a lot of cases. But going back to even like my grandmother, she didn't make $1, and she was probably one of the most successful people in AA that is like on Long Island. You can go to like any place around here and drop my grandmother's name, and people would be like, oh yeah, I know exactly who that woman is, you know? And it's just, that to me is absurd. And there was not $1 made, but there was that, I guess, legacy that she left for me, you know? And that's the mentality and the things that, you know, we are looking for, and per se follow the winners, you know?
Yeah, God bless your grandmother for doing that. That's huge.
Yeah. When she passed, a lot of people came to like my grandfather and to the family and were like, oh my God, she saved my life. And we didn't even know any of these people. I mean, like probably 24 people came up to us, kind of thing, like some crazy amount. And we were just like, wow, we didn't realize this. And now I can talk freely about it because obviously she's passed, and, you know, she's changed not only my life, but I'm sure a lot of other people's lives too. So yeah. All right, cool. So, I mean, that was great. It was a good tangent of success because it kind of went a little bit further into just like the nitty gritty of it. And I like that. So this is like a 2-part question that I ask everybody is, we're going to go a little bit into your business. So tell me about your business, and then why do you do it, kind of thing. Or the actual question is, what makes you tick? Like, why do you wake up in the morning and get at it?
Yeah. So to reiterate, right? So it's a cleaning, maintenance, and restoration company. We specialize in the cleaning of carpets and fine upholstered fabrics. We clean investment textiles. People ask, what is an investment textile? So those are Oriental rugs, Persian rugs, people that spend, you know, 15, 20, 25,000 and up on a particular rug that is considered an investment. And they need to be treated completely different, say, from your local franchise companies that just don't have that specialized knowledge on how to deal with that. We've done a tremendous amount of work here on Long Island when it comes to that type of work. People have sought me out to clean some really strange things, you know, artwork as well. One guy contacted me to clean his memorabilia. And his memorabilia, believe it or not, was Michael Jordan's playoff sneakers in Game 1, way back. So this guy purchased those sneakers. He put them away in a safety deposit box. But unbeknownst to him, he needed to put them away in a secure way so that the urethane in the sneaker itself wouldn't break down. And unfortunately for him, it did happen. Yeah. So his investment went from, like, say, $50,000 down to $10,000.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. So when he called us up, he asked us, how can we help him to kind of clean up that shoe and make it the best it possibly can? So we actually went to the auction house, worked on that sneaker, tried to get it back to at least a point where he can recoup some of his investment. And it turned out that he lost about $40,000 on that.
Oh my gosh.
But those are the things that we do, you know. That's what's kind of neat about my business. We get to do a lot of cool things. I get to meet a lot of people. In my career, I've probably been in easily over a couple 100,000 homes. So if I go to 6 homes a day for almost 40 years, you figure it out.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's a lot of homes. So,
and businesses though too. Commercial cleaning.
I cleaned every Blockbuster Video store on Island. I had that account for many, many years.
Yeah.
I cleaned every PC Richards store, Newmark and Lewis store, Liberty Travel. We were 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for quite a while.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what are you're not doing the same now?
Well, no, because there are no more Blockbuster Videos.
Yeah.
There are no more Newmark and Lewis stores.
Yeah.
Liberty Travel locations, they're still around. But you know what? For me, I like the residential market. You get to go in, you get, you know, do your job, get out, and then move on to the next one.
Yeah.
And for us, it's been, you know, we're cleaning now their grandchildren's carpets.
That's cool.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're relying on us to make sure that they have a healthy home. I've had my finger on the pulse since like 1987 on the green movement. So we've been using products for the environmentally concerned and chemically sensitive since then, long before.
Or animals.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that we use these products daily. I'm surrounded and exposed to them. And now my children that work with me, they're around them. So it's something that needs to be done. Guys in my industry from back in the 50s and the 60s, by the time they had their 20, 30 years in, they're dying of cancers from livers, lungs problems, from heavy duty, harsh chemicals and solvents. So we use products for the environmentally concerned and chemically sensitive.
That's major, honestly, especially because you think about it on that, like for yourself and your employees and your health, obviously, the people you're servicing, if they have cats and dogs and whatever, but for you and your people, that's huge. I worked for, when I went back to school for business and marketing, I was working for a construction company full time. And we did like epoxy, sandblasting, like a whole bunch of crazy stuff. And some of the epoxy we would work with, those chemicals, I would, there was one day I remember driving home, my eyes felt like they were bleeding. It was the worst pain. I was like, this is terrible. And they were like, oh, it'll wear off in a few hours. And I was just like, how is this safe that I'm working with these chemicals? And that would happen pretty frequently. And to the point that we actually ended up saying something and they switched whatever we were working with, because I was like, this is crazy. Like, I'm not trying to die while I'm working, or like, years down the line have some kind of medical issue. And now I know exactly where it came from,
You mentioned dying, right, from a job. So as a cleaner, we're exposed to a tremendous amount of, like, say, bacteria, germs, fungus, mold, mildew. Now it's fentanyl. Believe it or not.
Really?
Yeah, check that out, right?
How does that happen?
So we're now carrying Narcan on our vehicles. God forbid something happens and you are, like, say, in some kid's room, some adult's room, and you didn't, unbeknownst to you, you just happened to touch something, and boom, you can have this reaction. You saw, unfortunately, that police officer not too long ago, where she touched something and went into anaphylactic shock and then an overdose. Thank God that they had the Narcan kit. So that was an eye-opener for us, because we are in these homes, and I do find paraphernalia, I find drugs, I find, and it's in some of the most affluent homes too. So it's, so that's something that we're now paying real close attention to and really minding our self-preservation when we're in someone's home.
Yeah, you have to. That's crazy. I would have never thought of that. But especially in today's world, that's a little bit terrifying. And I know you mentioned too, some of the other people you work with are like contractors and people that are in the house doing work, and then all of a sudden they like spill a can of paint or whatever. They're like, oh my God, they're calling you. So that's got to be nice.
Well, that's one of my brands called Johnny on the Spot.
Okay.
It's a free service to the trade. So who's the trade? Services on the home front, pest control operators, painters, spacklerers, electricians, the boiler man. If they make a mess in the home, small spots, we'll go there as Johnny on the Spot and take care of that spot for them at no cost whatsoever. So what's the catch? How do we make our money? So we make our money because we do a quality job. We remove the spot. Mrs. Homer loves the way we've just conducted ourselves and asks if we can give an estimate. 9 times out of 10, that's what we are getting at. That one person, it doesn't matter, that they use us or don't use us, but we're there for the trade and make sure that they have someone that they can rely on to take care of them in their need. So that's worked out quite a bit for me over the years.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's great. It's such a great service, and to be able to help people in the trade, and then also just be able to, hey, we can also clean your entire house if you want, or that basement carpet that's been looking gross.
These guys, when they're going to do their service, they put their toolbox down, and unbeknownst to them, that is a rust mark. Or anyone could walk across someone's lawn and pick up something on their shoe and bring it in.
Yeah.
You step in a little bit of oil or grease and you tracked it in. They didn't do it on purpose.
Yeah, no, of course.
But now they can tell Mrs. Homeowner, listen, we have this guy, no worries. Here's his card. Call him. He'll come over. No cost, no obligation to anybody, and they'll take care of that spot for us.
Yeah. I mean, that's great. It definitely is. So the second part of this then is, why do you do it? You know, what makes you tick every morning and why you get up and do this?
So for me, the thrill is always in the hunt, never the kill. So if you ever been a hunter, it's always in the stalk. It's always the setup. It's always waiting and the anticipation. And once the kill has been made, that thrill is now gone. And so for me, in my business, the thrill for me is to get up each and every morning and get at it. And what I mean by get at it is I start with the simple things. I want to stack as many W's as I possibly can, from getting up and having my gratitude and making my bed and having a great cup of coffee and starting off with a good read, then listen to maybe a podcast and have that motivation to keep on going and meet with more people like yourself at all these networking events. And yeah, so that's what it is for me, man. I just like to get out there and keep it going.
I like that. The hunt, not the kill.
Yeah, it's the hunt.
Yeah, it's funny you say that though, because I know exactly what you're talking about, obviously. But more along the lines when you said, you know, leading up to once you get that hunt and then it all fades. It, to me, it just like popped in my head as like, you're working so hard, you get, you know, a potential client or something like that, and you're working it and it's all this, and then you get the deal and you're like, yes. And then it fades so quickly because then you're like, oh shit, now I have work to do, you know?
And then you got to move on and get the next client.
And that too, you know? But it's crazy how your excitement level like goes so high. You get it, you get the yes, you're like, yes. And then it's just like, okay, now it's time to just get back to building it back up, you know? Back to the hunt again. It's I know the grind, but that's a great way to explain it. I like that a lot. All right, so going into the winning aspect, this can be anything at all. It can be life related, it can be business related, family, whatever. Have you ever won at anything in your life?
Yeah, sure. Every day. Every day. Every day above ground's a great day.
That's a fact.
Yeah, so I win at that each and every day, and
Yeah.
I'm thankful for that.
Yeah.
But to give you, for a full decade, I did nothing but travel baseball with my children. Yeah. 9/11 for me was very difficult. I had like 90 of my clients pass away.
Why?
Yeah. So that kind of hit me kind of hard. Funeral after funeral after funeral.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was rough. My wife's an RN, so she was able to pick up a lot of the slack. I took a lot of time off to deal with this, and I got myself involved in travel baseball. So my 3 boys and I played over 105 games a year.
Wow.
That's a lot of
That's a lot of baseball.
baseball. That's a lot of baseball.
It's like pro baseball.
Yeah, close to it. Close to it. I mean, we traveled everywhere, you know. Just for a quick doubleheader, I drove all the way to Brown University once, right? And turned around and came all the way home.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, Brown University, for you guys that don't know, is all the way up in Rhode Island.
Just that close.
Yeah, it's that close. But yeah, we flew to St. Augustine, Florida. We've been to Tennessee. We've been to Cobb, Georgia. We did a lot during those 10 years. And during those 10 years, I managed a game, which was a perfect game. An absolute perfect game. So that was pretty cool. So that's a winner for me. Another win was watching my son pitch in an NCAA game.
Wow.
Yeah. And out of nowhere, he flipped me the baseball. That was the game ball.
Nice.
Yeah, how cool was that? He said, hey, Pop, this is for you. That was big.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those sound like some good winning moments.
Very simple thing in life like that. That's a big win for me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a big win.
I mean, it hits you in your feels in certain ways. That I understand.
Didn't expect it. And it was like, oh, wow. Yeah, that is the game ball. Check that out. Wow. That was pretty intense.
It sounded like the baseball thing kind of saved you a little bit, though.
It did.
From like a dark place.
Yeah. I wound up taking 5 teams to Dreams Park in Cooperstown.
Okay.
And we had a miracle one year where we were the lowest placed seeded team to get to the Sweet 16. And that's difficult. There's 90 to 100 teams from around the country.
Wow.
Yeah, all the way from Hawaii.
Mm.
And
Cool.
you play a first round of games, and that puts you into a seeding, and we happen to be the lowest placed seeded team. And then we won like 4 straight playoff games. And we wound up playing like the number 2 team. And we held our own for quite a while. But we were exhausted, and when you run out of pitching, it's, that's the end of your game. But yeah, we held that record for quite a while, and I loved it. I loved it quite a bit.
That is nice.
Yeah.
I mean, sports are always good, especially with family, when you can get, your kids involved. But were all 3 of your boys playing like around the same age or something like that? Or
Yeah, so one was, let's see. Yeah, so they're all like 2 years apart. So,
okay.
yeah, for the most part.
Yeah.
And a lot of times
They weren't on the same team, though.
That's a lot of times I did have them play on the same.
Oh, okay, cool.
So I managed my older son, and I was missing a player. I would take my middle son and place him up there. Yeah. That's how they got really good at it.
Oh, I believe it.
Yeah, they got really good at it.
I mean, when you take somebody who's, not as good and put them with players that are better than them, let's say, then you learn much, much quicker how to be better at the sport than play with people that are worse than you. So
yeah. So like high school baseball is different. Sometimes you can't get the recognition, right? So my kids didn't play a lot during their high school career, but guess what? 5 schools were looking for them to play college ball.
Wow.
And you know how many high school players don't get an opportunity to play college
ball? A lot.
It's like it falls off a shelf. It really does.
A lot.
But it was just funny to me that they couldn't get a lick to play in their varsity teams. But here he is. He becomes Rookie of the Year playing for his college team, and then most valuable player in his senior year.
Wow.
So that was a nice little feather in my cap.
Yeah, I mean, that's amazing. It also tells you, like, okay, cool, we worked really hard and it's paid off, which is, as a parent, you probably understand it way more from the outside kind of perspective, per se, than than your son, because he's living it, going through it. So it's probably harder to understand, but that's cool. One of these guys I went to high school with is a pitcher on, I think, the Detroit Tigers, I want to say, Jason Foley. It's just funny because you said, like, most guys that go to high school, they don't end up in college playing. For anybody like that is, I guess, scared about doing something in their life, this guy, I'm not really friends with him anymore. We had a few classes together. But if you asked me in high school, would Jason Foley be in the MLB? I would have told you no. Like, I never in a million years thought this guy was that good at baseball. I just thought he was just like some goofy kid. And then all of a sudden goes through college and is now playing professional, starting. It's just like, wow, that's crazy.
And that's an unbelievable statistic too. I mean, if you think about it, like you go back to Derek Jeter. How long was Derek Jeter the shortstop for the New York Yankees?
A while.
I think 20 years.
Yeah.
But that job, that position of shortstop
filled.
was filled
for
20 years.
Yeah.
So you think about that with all of Major League Baseball. Those jobs there's not a lot of room. There's just not a lot of room.
Yeah.
Yeah. Baseball's very interesting.
It is. I never really got into it much, played, Little League and all that. I was more lacrosse and soccer. I could play baseball, but not really my thing all too much. But everybody finds, something that they're interested in, and I understand that. You got to find something you like. All right, cool. So then that was good for winning. As far as, I like to ask people this because, I don't know, I think everybody changes as they grow old, should I say, from being a teenager to a young adult to, being in your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, whatever. So what core values or cultural beliefs did you have, let's say when you were younger, or you could pick any point in your life, and then that you've had to change as you've gotten older and progressed through business and in life? I always give this example to everybody. It's just growing up. It was and you actually kind of hit this, like growing up, not having money as like an easy object, should I say, like, oh, it's a struggle. Everything is a struggle. Everything's a struggle. To then growing up and now being like, yes, it is a struggle, but it's more mindset and how you go about every day rather than being involved in the struggle, like, oh my God, my life, and I'm being pulled down like an anchor. So is there anything in your life that kind of like sticks out to you that are those like values that you had to like remove as you gotten older?
Yeah. So being competitive, trying to fight for the things that you want to accomplish. Over time, I've learned that I don't need to be in that competitive mindset any longer, that I can actually create the things that I want to happen in my life. So that was a little bit of a struggle in the beginning, on like just being like, that job was not for me. I don't need to compete to get that bid. If that bid is to come to me, it's because I deserved it and I was supposed to have it and it was meant for me and I created it. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that was one that served me well now.
Oh.
Being in that creative mindset, I just be able to create the things that I want to see.
We just mentioned it before we got on here, is the term manifestation. Do you use that as like your
all day, every day, all day, every day?
Yeah, it's massive being able to manifest things and put things out there. I do like what you're saying a lot, because I think everybody needs to create more than compete. I think that's probably like, that in itself can be like a little phrase, create, not compete kind of thing, because even in like the realm of competition, there's so many other businesses out there that do the same thing that I do, or similar things that you do, things like that. And we could all sit here and get worried about our competition. Like, oh, well, what if they're doing this? And what if they're doing that? And, oh, I got to be doing this because they're doing that. Or we can just like flip the script and do the creative side of it and be like, well, I'm going to try this. I'm going to try this. Try this without even looking at what the competition is doing, and then see where, wow, here you are. That's like almost like the tangible, I guess, aspect of it. Like how you can physically go about doing something different than being creative rather than being competitive.
Well, it's kind of like a two-edged sword to me. So I like to look at if you want to call them my competition, or, the other players in my industry and field. I like to see what they're doing and what they're not doing. And I'm able to create a way around it, or I'm able to improve on some of the things that they may be doing as well, or not doing.
Yeah.
And that's been a big blessing in my life too, and especially for my career.
You've been super creative though in your own business, just from the little things that I've seen, like those gift cards that you had, like that. I love that idea that you can hand out gift cards to people with like whatever, $30 off cleaning service or $50 off cleaning service. And you hand those to other people to hand out to friends and family they know. Meanwhile, I mean, yeah, you can give them the $50 off or not. Either way, it's just a phone call that they're going to be making because they think they have a coupon, and the excitement.
Zig Ziglar said, the more people you help, the more you'll wind up getting the things that you're looking for. I learned a long time ago, the more I gave away, the more I got back.
Yeah.
There's an old fable, Johnny Appleseed, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So what was Johnny Appleseed doing? He was just planting seeds, laying down seeds. And the name of my company, my parent company name, is called VanGo, right? And that's a play on words, because I was always in a van. I was always on the go. But I was a big fan of Vincent van Gogh as well. And my original logo was Vincent van Gogh's famous sower painting.
Okay.
So you see this beautiful horizon in the background. You see the farmer sowing the seeds, and that's it. So it's hard work and dignity and labor. So we sow the seed. My job is to sow the seed and nurture it so that it grows. How much it grows ends up to the Lord. And if I can make this by planting even more seeds, because one seed will grow into a tree, that tree will produce the fruit.
Yeah.
And that's just the way I've been doing this for a very long time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I was just talking about it with my grandfather. My grandparents are very religious, and they've raised me to be, pretty religious at this point, I would say. But we were just talking about it the other day. Faith is small as a mustard seed. And I can't say I've ever seen a mustard seed before, but apparently
They're tiny.
you almost can't see them kind of thing. But it's 100% like a fact. And even that, like planting a seed, I've now physically done it this year. I've just been like, I don't know why, but out of nowhere, I'm super interested in like plants and planting things. So this year I went out and I bought seeds. Usually I would buy like a little tomato plant and just watch it grow. I was like, you know what? I'm starting from the seed. I want to see like what happens. And I bought like tomatoes, cucumbers, peppers, cilantro, basil, like a bunch of stuff. And I planted it probably like 2 weeks ago, and everything's starting to grow, and it's just amazing. Some of the seeds, I was like, just one of these is going to produce something, I was like, what is this? It doesn't even look like a seed. Very interesting, but it's an eye-opening experience that I think everybody has to really do to understand that life works the exact same way. It's just nature is kind of just our blueprint for it, basically. You can just kind of look outside and understand, like, your life works the same way. You have to plant these seeds, and it's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen within a couple days or weeks. It's months, maybe even years in some cases, until you get, the crop that you're looking for. And that is just awesome. To go into, to kind of further this conversation, and you've kind of already touched on it a little bit. Are you spiritual at all, and do you use it to push you forward in your day-to-day life? Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm a spiritual being inside a human body, right? So I believe in Christ. I believe in the Heavenly Father. When Christ said, none of these works are done by me, but through my Father who resides in me as I reside in you. That took a long time for me to get that into my head as to what does that mean? Yeah. So I can manifest the things that I want because I have the power. Not any power, but I have the power. Because that power is within me. So what I seek is seeking me. And and to go back to my golden rule is what I want for myself, I want for others. So if I want to be happy, I want others to be happy. And if I'm happy, then hopefully that'll pass on to somebody else and that they can be happy. Yeah, so I would say, sure,
Yeah.
I've gone full circle in as a kid to my adulthood and trying to figure out like what path am I supposed to be taking, but
It's confusing.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be either.
No,
it doesn't really have to.
No.
You just gotta just take your time and you get it figured out.
Yeah.
The harder you work, the luckier you get. So that's spiritual too.
Yeah.
What do I do? Talk about manifestation. I call it entering the silence. And what does that mean? I quiet my mind down just enough so that I can talk about to myself the things that I need to work on or accomplish. Yeah.
Those are huge. I mean, those are actionable things. I know exactly. Meditation, basically. It's basically what it is. But I think a lot of people think meditation, they have to be like, it's like, you don't have to do that. You just have to get into a quiet space. I really trained myself to get to that level. It took literally like 90 to 120 days probably of just every day meditating to actually like be able to close my eyes. It's a little bit weird. Like when you say the dark space, I feel like I know exactly what you're talking about, because there's a difference of like closing your eyes and just having your mind wander and just having like random thoughts. And then there's just this like, I don't know, it's almost like a veil that you can kind of go through in a sense. And it gets really quiet and you can hear yourself perfectly and you can answer every single one of the questions that you're trying to find. It's very small things that you'll find answers to. It's not the big grand answer that you're looking for. It's just kind of those day-to-day tasks that you're like, wow. that's sometimes where I get some of my best answers, is like right before I go to sleep and right when I wake up in the morning, when I just get super quiet and I'm just like, oh, I've been searching for the answer to that for like 3 weeks and I just thought of it in like a second, you know? So it's powerful, very, very powerful.
Yeah. Yeah. And more people should really learn about it.
Yeah, sadly.
Yeah, I enjoy it. I enjoy it quite a bit. So, yeah.
So, okay, so other than that though, do you find that you have to use on like a daily basis? Because now I'm on to talk about the opposite end of things, which is fear. So before we even, I guess, get into the fear aspect of it, though, I am curious, throughout your day to day, is there things that you do throughout the day where it's like maybe you have a negative thought that comes in and you can use that tool that you have to like push that away?
Yeah. So the secret is attitude awareness and imaginational control.
Mm.
If you can control your attitude and you can really develop your imagination, you can handle anything. You really can. You can handle it all.
Yeah. I mean, that's huge.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. So statistically, scientists have said that the average human will have, I don't know, 50, 60, 70,000 thoughts every day. That's what goes through your head.
It's a lot.
That's a lot. I mean, that goes, so what is it that you're thinking about? And how much attention are you putting onto that? Mm-hmm. So to go back to scripture, it says that you should think of only the lovely and of good report. Mm. So if you're dwelling on the negative, that's not good. Yeah. So you should really try to change that, drop that, stop that. You know, that's ego trying to talk to us and keep you from doing your best. They also say too that if you can hold a thought for 17 seconds, it'll lead you to an exact thought of that, of like kind. So the more that you can think on the positive side and hold that, you'll be moving closer and closer to a very, very similar thought. So the same thing goes for the negative side too. So if you're constantly thinking in those terms, that's inner dialogue. So you need to have that conversation with yourself, like, hey man, this is not the way I should really be thinking. Yeah. And there's a great book out there called Hung by the Tongue. And most people don't realize that every word shall be held accountable. And every word is a seed. And most people think like the words I said just a moment ago, an hour ago, a day ago, a month ago are in my past. They're not. They're in your future. They all are seeds waiting to grow. So if you have things going on in your life, you should be able to look back and say, why is this happening? And where did I plant that seed? You know, and that's for the good or the bad. So
that's pretty good. I do like that. It's funny you were saying, as you were talking, I pictured like how nuns years ago, if you were like try to be a lefty, they like slap you in the wrist kind of thing. I pictured like the same thing for like your thoughts, like when you have bad thoughts, to have just like the ruler ready to just like slap you, you know, and just be like, no.
That's the gatekeeper. Yeah. You need that gatekeeper.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's what it is, man. It's the gate inside your mind. So if you're, that's why it's called, you know, attitude awareness. Be very aware of what's going on with your attitude. And then you have imaginational control. Yeah. And you can move through life strolling. Yeah. Strolling through life.
Yeah, you have to think of that positive thing, and whatever that is for anybody. I know for me that at first, when I was like really, really down bad, I would turn directly to like Jesus. That was me personally, but people can turn to anything. You know, it could be like somebody that they love, that maybe even like is like an angel figure in their life. You know, maybe someone who's passed away, or it could be a beautiful place where you're just like, I can't be here. I need to be here. You know, and just like put your mind there. For me, those would be like the actionable things to use that. And I think that's huge. I think anybody who listens to this podcast has to do this, like on a daily basis, has to do this, continuously keep fighting, be that, that angry nun ready to slap your wrist kind of thing once you have that bad thought. Because as we just keep explaining, it's just going to keep kind of manifesting that negative into, you're going to plant that negative seed as opposed to that positive seed. The mustard seed, it still applies to the negative, which I like how he got into that. I don't think I've even spoken about that with anybody yet, because you're 100% right. You can plant a negative seed all day long, and then all of a sudden it's 6 months later or however many months, days later, and you're just like, oh my, I can pinpoint exactly that bad decision I made, and that's why I'm here right now, having to deal with the consequences of it.
Yeah, they say that it's praying. You're praying constantly.
Mm-hmm.
And most of us don't realize that.
Mm-hmm.
You're praying ceaselessly. You're just like, so your words are super important. They are seeds. And if you're not paying attention to the seeds that you're sowing, you're going to, you could be experiencing really good things, and then you're going to be experiencing some really, unfortunate things as well.
To kind of go a little bit further into like the fear aspect of it, is there anything that you use? Like, let's say you have an abundance of fear that's come into your life over, it could be literally anything. It could be business related, it could be family related, something that you're just like overwhelmed with, I guess you could say. Is there anything that you do? Obviously, I mean, we're kind of talking about it and you probably already said it per se, but is there anything that comes to mind that you'd have to kind of put yourself through in order to get over that or clear that level of fear?
Yeah, so fear is really false expectations appearing real.
Mm-hmm.
You ever heard that?
Oh, yeah.
Right? And that's pretty much what it is. And there's no evidence. You kind of get ahead of your evidence. You don't realize that maybe you're working yourself up. And if you can take the time, really contemplate, again, I go back to attitude awareness, and then you can have that imaginational control. You can grow exponentially. Fear to me, or real fear, most people have never heard this before, but it's something that I've suffered from, and it got worse and then it got better, was called Jephirophobia. You ever hear Jephirophobia? Now, most people haven't. It's called the fear of bridges. I have a real hard time. Mm-hmm. And here it is. I'm speaking this, right? But I'm working really hard on it. Crossing a bridge. For some reason, even as a little kid, I never liked crossing bridges. Like going over the Varazao Narrow Bridge is like super terrible.
I mean, it is just even for myself, who's not abundantly afraid of them, it's still not the best feeling.
And there are some people that suffer so much that they cannot physically go over the bridge. And there's actually a service that the Bridge and Tunnel authorities have where they'll drive you over the bridge.
Wow.
Yeah. But that's something I've worked on. For whatever reason, it got worse for me, and then it got better. And I was just traveling back from Florida, and somehow or another I missed an exit, and I was going through Maryland. And man, I went over this bridge that just was like the worst bridge I've ever been on. It was forever long bridge. I mean, just like, when is this going to stop? Just kept going like a bad dream. But you know how I worked on it? With EFT. Have you heard of EFT?
I don't think so.
It's called emotional frequency tapping.
Okay.
And you tap on these certain areas from your forehead to your temple to your chin to just under your nose, back to your forehead. And you just repeat a particular mantra that kind of helps you get back,
Kind of almost reminds me of like Reiki when you say that.
Yeah, a little bit of a Reiki. I've experienced Reiki. I'm a Reiki master. That's what sure.
Yeah. My mom became a Reiki master when I was like 10, 12, 13, something like that. Yeah, and she was like, I got to train you, do it on you. And I was like, okay. It was crazy though.
I like it.
Yeah, it was interesting. Reiki was weird because I was just like, why are you touching my shoulder? And she's like, I'm not. And I was just like, what do you mean?
Pretty intense.
Yeah, it's super, super weird.
Yeah.
I don't really know how to explain it. I was young too. But that's interesting. I mean, especially the bridges. That's wild. My fear is needles. I am like afraid of needles. I actually just got life insurance recently, and they were like, "Oh, we have to do blood tests." And I was like, "Oh God!" And they came here in the office, stick my arm out. I couldn't even look. I had to look the other way. It was so funny. My girlfriend, the nurse, are laughing at me. They're like, "Come on, you're like a grown up." I'm like, "I can't do it. Too much."
I'm into acupuncture.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know if I'd be able to do that.
I've had over.
Oh my gosh.
I have pictures of it too. I've had like 50 different needles throughout my face.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Doesn't hurt that, right?
In the beginning, you're kind of like,
You're tense, right?
you're tense, you're a little uptight. And then as you do it, I've been doing it for years now, and it's really helps me. I do it more for health and balance. I don't do it because I'm hurt or anything like that. I do it because it opens up the channels and allows my blood to really flow to where I need it to flow to and help me heal within.
Wow.
So
it's crazy. I don't think I'd ever be able to do that just because of my fear for needles. But I do recently, I have been thinking from what you're saying, kind of the same thing of just like, I got to get over this fear of needles, like there's going to be a day where like, I'm going to have to end up like going to the hospital for something or whatever. And I'm just going to like, I am going to have to do this, it's going to come a time where I'm going to have to do this. Got to do with the bridges. Eventually you live on an island. So eventually you're going to have to hit a bridge, it's just, but it's tough. It really is. You got to really put yourself in that like that really dark place that you don't want to be. You have to envision it. I've been actually trying to envision, like leading up to that blood test that I had, I was like actually envisioning it, trying to get myself a little bit more comfortable, like doing it on purpose, because I knew if I just kind of went into it blind, I might like freak out or something. So I was like, all right, let me like put myself in this uncomfortable position right now. So then when the time comes, I feel a little bit better. It worked for me, honestly.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, but
we all need to work on our fears.
Yeah.
And again, most of it is false evidence appearing real.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's in our head, obviously. The actual reality of it, in my case, I had a professional nurse putting a needle into my arm. This lady does it probably 50 times a day. And for some reason, I'm terrified, It's like, you're going to be okay, Yeah, and even with the bridges, I mean, you got thousands of cars that drive over those things every day. You'll be fine. There's nothing crazy to worry about. But
I actually plan my trips around traffic, so I won't be on that bridge for any longer than I need to be on.
Yeah, I don't blame you though. The craziest thing with me with bridges is when I was riding my motorcycle. I still have my motorcycle, but it's kind of in pieces. That my friend that I first started riding with, it was like one of the first things he said to me was like, watch out for the bridges. He's like, the grates on the bridges, like if you throttle it too hard, the bike will just shoot out from under you, because it's like you have no traction on the middle. And I was just like, what? And it scared the hell out of me so every time, like we went down to Long Beach one time, and where else did I go? I went down to Jones Beach another time, and like, there's just those little tiny bridges, nothing crazy, but they got the metal grates right in the middle, and you feel it. It is a little bit scary. The bike kind of just loses traction for a second because it's now just on like slippery metal. I mean, they tell you too not to switch lanes when you're driving in a car there too. So I was like, yeah, not a comfortable feeling. Definitely not. Better on blacktop with the with the motorcycle, especially when you got two wheels, not four. It was interesting. But yeah, I hear you. Definitely fears, we gotta overcome them all day long. That's probably one of the most important things, especially in following the winners. You can find that most people that are, at least in my definition of winning, they're never really fearful people, Like I've met you, I wouldn't consider you a fearful person, but you've opened up to me and told me something that does scare you to an extent. But everybody obviously goes through it. It's a matter of how we can kind of use those fears to push us forward to live a happier and better life, rather than just like curling up in the corner and being like, I'm so scared, I can't do this anymore. Yeah, and there's no way to live like that. We have such a beautiful world that we're a part of. There's so much that you can do in this world. It's an oyster, like people say. Like, you open it and it's like, whoa, there's so much you can do, and you can manifest those things. You can choose to be whoever you want to, if you want to be a good person or if you want to be a bad person. It's completely up to you. We all have the choices.
And that's what it's called. Choose this day.
Yeah.
Choose this day.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's one of our, going back to scripture again, that's what we're told. Choose this day. You have the right to choose. Either you're going to have a great day or you're not going to have a great day. And you're better off having a great day as opposed to having a bad day. But if you have the bad day, figure out why you had that bad day. And if you're having a great day, figure out why you're having a great day. What was it, the self-talk thing?
Yeah. And then duplicate it again and again. Yeah.
Yeah, because what you're looking for is looking for you.
Yeah, for sure. And it's funny, one of my first sales jobs, this guy always gave me like the best acronym. Sphere was one of them. And he would say, this wasn't an acronym, but this was just his little saying. He would be like, what's a good day if you never have any bad ones? And it just like always stuck with me. And it's like true. Like, you have to have a bad day in order to know what a good day is, So you got to live a little bit and know what's a good day versus a bad day. This conversation has been super, super good. I'm really happy kind of like where we've led to and all this like faith-based things. It's really what I enjoy talking about, honestly. I enjoy being able to go through this journey and meet people like yourself that have this faith background. It sucks that I can't meet more young people that have this same background as me. I haven't yet, I really haven't, but eventually we'll continue to keep finding people, because one of my clients is an author. Anthony Marone is his name, and he took me down to South Carolina, and he invited a bunch of his like friends from the local area over, and all these, everybody. I was totally the youngest guy there. I think everybody was like 50 plus years old, but everybody had such great mentality. And I was like, I'm looking at Anthony. I'm like, how did you find these people? Like, how did you surround yourself? And he wasn't friends with some of these people very long, maybe over the past like 10 years or so, like that, like nothing, not childhood friends kind of thing, And it just really, it kind of blew my mind. It stuck out to me, that you have to surround yourself with good people and people who have like-minded feelings that you do. And it's huge, pushes you to the better places. So it's awesome. As far as business goes, or even life, is there anything that you're currently working on right now, or something that you wanted to share to the world?
It's a couple of different things. The brand that I'm building more so now is helpmylisting.net, and that's the brand that's developed for the real estate community. For my cleaning, maintenance, and restoration services, we help them better prepare their listings for their open house markets and better sales. So I just always knew that real estate community, the agents, the brokers, the realtors are all a great resource for my services. And now I'm pushing that brand to have more and more of them recommending us. So I've been a big force this past year in developing these relationships with them. So I've been invited to speak at their sales meetings. I've been invited to some of the continuing education classes that realtors need to take in order for them to keep up their license. So I go there and I do talk and explain to them how we can better prepare their listings, everything from removing the horrible odors from cigarettes or marijuana or pet-related issues, to just helping them, have a much cleaner environment as far as their carpets, their tiles, and whatnot.
It's kind of cool how many little niches you can jump into and just cleaning carpet. Well, cleaning per se, not just carpets, but cleaning. And how you can jump into the real estate. And you could literally start an entire business just in that realm if you wanted to.
The way it's been, helpmylisting.net has been growing fast.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
More and more realtors are seeking us out now.
Yeah.
Because they know that we're a great resource for them.
Yeah. And God forbid anything happens and that they need somebody, you got Johnny on a spot kind of thing,
The attitude we have.
Yeah.
That's what we bring to the table.
Yeah, that's huge. It's a really cool way. And I mean, that's basically how me and you met, was at one of these, like, networking events. You've obviously been out there grinding and trying to find people, building relationships. That's the one thing I am now, understanding. Networking for me has been since like November. It's only been probably like 6-7 months now or so. And it is all about building relationships. Like we spoke earlier, for me, it was going on Indeed and finding the clients through there, people who are looking for whatever, a videographer, a marketer, and then I can try and fill the role as a contractor. And that's worked for me very, very well. But the networking aspect of it and building relationships, like that side works because it's just like someone's looking for you and it's a quick sale per se. It's almost like throwing an advertisement out there. But with networking, you're building relationships with people that can turn into like a decade long of sales, continuous. And that doesn't happen quickly. And that's what I'm learning, because even myself, I don't refer somebody until like I genuinely like the person and want to give them the business. Then I'm thinking about them because I care about them. And I'm like, wow, this person's great. We've had some great interactions. I would be more than happy to say their name to the next person that I know. That's to me how it works. I'm not in it for any quick anything like that. It's just a matter of, I know that building relationships is not a fast thing. There's nothing quick about it. So, which is awesome. So, I mean, I guess that probably goes into the next thing, which is just goals. Do you have any goals for like this year? I know, you just said you have this kind of new venture, I guess you could call it.
Yeah. So 2023 for me is all about the networking. And I'm going to be out there as much as I possibly can.
Yeah.
For example, tonight I have another big networking event. Maybe you'll be there. It's in Patchogue. And
I don't think so.
Yeah. You should always go.
Oh, yeah, I know. It's great.
Piggybacking.
No, it's great.
I post it on Facebook constantly, letting people know, hey, there's a lot going on.
Oh, there's a lot.
People that are in the business world, you just need to get out there.
Mm-hmm.
Goals for me are Toastmasters. So you familiar with Toastmasters?
No. It sounds like I feel like you spoke about it though, because it sounds familiar.
Yeah, Toastmasters International. It's a organization that helps individuals learn how to be more powerful with public speaking.
Oh, okay. You mentioned this to me when we spoke on the phone, I believe. But can you elaborate a little bit more?
Yeah. So there are local clubs that people can join, and it helps them learn how to articulate their thoughts better. Keeps them from using filler words like and ah a lot. It teaches them leadership skills by becoming more active in the club and taking on leadership roles, running the meeting. Yeah. So Toastmasters for me is something that I've been pursuing now for close to 10 years, on and off. And it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It really is. Yeah. And you're with like-minded people, and a lot of them are entrepreneurial. A lot of them work for other companies and they want to better their careers. You have a lot of younger people coming on, which I'm really excited about. Because they need to learn how to articulate and look people in the eye.
Yeah.
And that's kind of been a hindrance, I think, for this younger generation that's basically sitting on their phone constantly.
Yeah. No, I know exactly.
So that's a goal of mine. I'm really, I've become the vice president of public relations. So I'm really pushing it. Yeah. I'm really pushing it. I want to give back to that. Now, 40 years ago, my mom talked to me about Toastmasters.
Wow.
Said, yeah, I think this would be something really good for you. And, it took me a while, but I eventually got there and I enjoy it.
Yeah.
There's competition. So you can have your speeches. And you get, if you win, then you get to move on. Then you do what you have as your local club. Then you go to a regional, and regional you go to, statewide, and then you go to the nationals. And so if you're really into speaking, Toastmasters is the right way to go. If you're really not into speaking, but just want to be able to articulate and get your message and your point of views across, it's a great way to do it. and it's very expensive. It's like $100 for the year.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I actually want to check that out because I think being a master communicator is super important. Doesn't matter what you do. Being able to just communicate, articulate your words, speak, and get your point across. It's probably one of the most important skills, especially in today's world, because it's not like, in survival of the fittest per se. That's probably the most survival skill you need is communication. Because in today's world, it's not like you need to fight for food anymore, but you could probably manipulate your way through a conversation and get a free meal all day long. So that's a very, very important skill.
Well, you should come as a guest on June 1st. It is our open house. It's open to everybody. We have some refreshments and drinks and whatnot, and you get to sit in the audience and see exactly how a Toastmasters meeting is run. And it's a great place for you to get a really good understanding as to how and why Toastmasters could be a benefit.
And they do it all around the country?
Wow. All around the world.
All around the world?
All around the world.
Cool.
There's a national competition or international competition that takes place, and that winner will, be the most sought after keynote speaker. Now you're talking millions of dollars being offered for you to go out and be that speaker.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So if you're into it,
I'm into it.
Well, there you go. So it starts off with your first icebreaker speech.
Yeah. Yeah, basically. Yeah, I mean, I just did something recently for the Massapequa Chamber. And it was the first time talking in front of a crowd of people, other than like school projects, And it was great. People came up to me, wow, that was awesome. I learned so much. And I felt amazing. I was like, like a high I couldn't explain, I was like, wow, this feels good,
What Toastmasters does for you too is after each meeting, we have what's called evaluations. So we all get together and we'll evaluate your speech, your stage presence. We'll offer you the corrections, and it's all done in a very uplifting manner, because we're all just as nervous as anyone else up on stage. And you hear from the most professionals out there, they throw up prior to them coming out on the stage, but you would never know it.
Yeah.
You would never know it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's wild. I definitely want more training. I mean, that's why I'm almost doing something like this, getting just more comfortable to talk on camera, have these conversations, because I want to get better at communicating with people and learning about them, asking more questions, because especially myself, I know like 6 months ago, I would talk way too much, and now I'm asking more questions because I'm curious, and the curiosity leads to a better relationship and leads to better conversations rather than, I don't need to hear myself talk. Like, it's like, okay, what do you have to say? So, yeah, it's really cool. And even just going back, this is just a tip before we kind of wrap up here, but I wanted to throw this out there because you said like networking is your goal for 2023. I think that's a fantastic goal. And I heard somebody say this recently, but they were like, if you're trying to grow in anything, especially in business, just fill your schedule with as much as you possibly can. And with networking, it's super easy to do that, especially once you start meeting people. I joined the Massapequa Chamber. Now I'm in 2 networking groups. Through just the chamber, it introduced me to 2 networking groups, which fill my schedule a significant amount of times. Through the chamber, I actually basically met you, Bob, because the president of the chamber is the one that led me to the lunch that Bob was at. And those now meeting Bob and then other people there, like everyone's so willing to, hey, why don't you come check out this group that I'm in? Hey, we have this going on. Hey, we have this. And before you know it, there's an event literally every day, Monday to Friday, every day, either breakfast, lunch, or dinner. I'm sure you could find one of those 3. And you can meet people all day long. It's not necessarily the most productive thing as far as work goes, but as far as meeting people, building connections, and potentially finding new business, it's like a no-brainer. And it's very easy to fill your schedule and not have to spend a lot of money, because there's a lot of groups out there that, don't cost a lot. There are some that are extremely inexpensive, or even some that are, close to free, for example. Like the lunch that I met you at, that didn't cost me anything other than paying for the lunch, That was it. It just, I spoke to the right person. Then all of a sudden I'm getting a text message. Hey, are you interested in coming to this lunch? Yeah, sure. I'd love to,
There's a saying in a book called The E-Myth.
Such a good book.
Are you familiar with that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Michael Gerber has it where if you're not taking the time to work on your business as opposed to working in your business, you're not going to grow the way you need to grow.
Yeah.
And that stuck with me so much. I've read that book. I traveled to Houston, Texas to meet him. And I was in one of his seminars. And that was also with a rug tour that I took. The rug tour was all about Oriental rugs and Persian rugs and whatnot. But Michael Gerber was there giving a keynote speech.
Wow.
And I was able to get friendly with his right-hand man, Mark Ehrlich. And Mark is an unbelievable power broker that I was able to tap into his resources, became very friendly with him. So, yeah. So by working on your business as opposed to constantly working in it, you're just automatically going to grow. So networking is just another form of that. That's what it is.
Yeah, working on it.
Being out there, working on it, just be working on it.
Yeah.
It's all about the pies.
It is, sure is. It's awesome. That book is so good because it's a story, and like reading some of these motivational books that are just like, steps and these are things to do. They're sometimes a lot harder to like stick with. But that book was so easy to read because it's a story, Well, most of it's a story, There are those things in between, but once they start talking, they're having just intellect, like it's a story, and you're just like, that's me. That's exactly how I feel. I know what they're talking about, I read that book probably 3 months ago. It was a game changer. I read it in like 3 days. I was like, this is the best book I've ever read.
Yeah, and it does touch on you quite a bit.
Yeah.
You're either the technician or you're the entrepreneur. And that light bulb went off in my head when I was much younger, working for another company, cleaning carpets. And I'm like, boing, the light went off. And I'm like, wow, I could be doing this for myself. And all this money I'm making for the company, I can bring home for myself. And that was the day the entrepreneur was born to me.
Yeah.
And I ran with it the entire way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And then you go through the roller coaster ride, the ups and the downs, the funs, the fears, all that, everything we spoke about. Cool. So, I mean, this has been a really, really great conversation. I'm happy we did this. It's even better than I thought. Where can people find you? If anybody's watched this entire podcast and they're like, wow, I got to link up with Bob, where should they go? Website?
Personal cell. You guys can call or text. I would love to continue the conversation with any of you folks. Whoever's interested in that, 631-974-7034. I'll repeat it, 631-974-7034. And I had a really, really cool time.
Yeah.
Really learned.
Yeah, absolutely. What's your website, just in case anybody wanted to do?
Helpmylisting.net.
Okay.
And my Google business profile pages.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Helpmylisting.net. Okay, cool. So that's easy enough. Awesome. Yeah, I mean, this has been super great. It's been really nice to learn about you and hear about your success and your definition of follow the winners. You're definitely a winner in my life. So
appreciate that. And as you as well.
Well, thanks. Definitely. Thank you.